Fantastic. Thanks to everyone who's on board live and listening to hear a little bit about what we're doing at First AU in Eastern Victoria and our other assets as well. We'll just start with a brief summary. As you can see, we've got assets all across Australia, three or four project locations, but our primary focus is on our Gippsland, primarily gold prospects, and then we've got a Paw Free Copper prospect in there as well. And we've got a really significant land holding covering 2,450 square kilometres. At our Victorian prospect, our three primary targets at this stage are Snowstorm, which we've previously drilled and had some really strong results, including veins carrying greater than 30 grams per tonne, which we were very happy about. Then we've got our Haunted Stream project and our Dogwood Copper project as well. And I'll be touching on each of those today. We've also got in Western Australia, we've got our Gimlet project, which we released not too long ago, a few months ago, JORC inferred resources of 120,000 ounces. And then we've got our recently announced Mabel Creek project in South Australia, which is prospective for iron oxide copper gold, so an IACG style deposit, which is really interesting. And, we look forward to undertaking some more work on that in the coming months. Just a little bit of information about company structure. I won't spend too much time on that. Other than I'll just quickly touch on, I think, with the projects we've gotten, with, the results that we've already been able to deliver, we certainly think that as a company, we're quite undervalued and represent a great opportunity for investors. And hopefully the next sort of 15 minutes will explain why. Board and management, we've got a very strong board. We've got a strong history in mining exploration. We've got the chairman of Westwits who just spoke, their managing director just spoke on the board as well. So we're well placed from this perspective to execute a strong exploration strategy and hopefully be able to deliver value and a strong resource to shareholders over time. Our technical team, I think this is something that is a real strength of the company, particularly in the area that we're focused on. Ian Nielsen's our head geo on the Victorian projects. He brings with him significant structural geology experience, and he's provided some really fantastic insights to date. Dr. Gavin England, he's sort of mainly oversees our WA projects, and he also recently pegged the Mabel Creek project for us in WA. And then we have PGN Geoscience as well, who provide some expertise to us on an ongoing basis too. I think, between our geological team, we feel like we're very well equipped to deal with, the challenges of exploring in Eastern Victoria where there hasn't been significant exploration in a long period of time. So what brings us to East Gippsland? Why are we in this area in the first place? So this is a model that's been validated by the Geological Survey of Victoria, and it's a very robust model. So what it's showing on the left here is that a long time ago, about 440 million years ago, the Haunted Stream prospect, and broadly speaking, our assets in the area, were a long strike from the central goldfields of Victoria, which host Fosterville, Bendigo, Walhalla, and Woods Point. And then over about 435 to 380 million years ago, the Tasmania collided with the Australian plate and caused the what's called the Lachlan Fold to bend around. And that's what we believe, or why we believe there are strong prospects in this area, is because of this. We believe that the same rocks that you see at Fosterville, Bendigo, and the like are the same rocks that we're seeing in East Gippsland where we're looking. Just a bit more information on the project overview. So historically, there's been, from the mid 1850s through to the early 1900s, there was, for a period of time, quite a lot of exploration in the area. Obviously, technology has advanced quite a bit since that point in time. But, looking back at historical records, there's really significant grades that have been mined. So, if we look at Haunted Stream as an example there, ore has been extracted, between 15 and 30 grams per tonne. And I think historical production there was about 25,000 ounces. At Swifts Creek, where our Snowstorm project is located, historical production is around 100,000 ounces as well. So I think our primary objective in these areas is applying modern exploration techniques and drilling below these old historical workings. Back in the 1850s, early 1900s, they were restricted by their ability to, remove water from underground mines, their ability to get airflow down low and things like that, which is quite important because, you even going into some of the old workings, you do see quite a bit of sulfides and, it isn't particularly pleasant at times. We've also got our Dogwood project, which I mentioned as well. So that's had some historical drilling in the mid 1990s. Obviously, the copper price wasn't where it was, where it is now, but it's produced intersections up to 1.33%, and there's been some gold there as well. This is just a map that shows our covering across Victoria. Just briefly, we've only got, as it stands at this very second, we've only got the Snowstorm and Haunted Stream project granted. So where we've got the Dogwood prospect and a number of those other tenements, they are still all under application. However, we are expecting those to be, a majority of those, particularly on the left-hand side of the map, to be granted by the end of this calendar year, which will put us in a position where we can look to increase our exploration activity. So just touching on Snowstorm, so I think it's proven so far in our first round of drilling, we've been able to produce what we think are some really good results. Prior to drilling, we were undertaking some field work, some mapping, some structural mapping. We're able to take rock chip samples off the sides of the road up to 112 grams per tonne. But then when we undertook our initial drilling, we're able to intersect intersections over an ounce as high as 33 grams per tonne. We were really, really happy with that. And I think it's provided us a lot of information and a lot of direction for our current drilling program. I think one of the features that we saw is that, in our announcement, we spoke about intersecting a mineralized dike swarm. That what we're seeing is, from a structural point of view, that every time we're hitting those dikes, next to those dikes is where we're intercepting quartz, which is what's hosting the gold, or which is where the gold mineralization is being found. So that was really instructive for us in terms of what we're going to be doing in the existing drilling program that we're undertaking at this point in time, which I can give a brief update on that we're just through our first week, and that's progressing well. So we're really happy with that, and we'll be looking to release results from that periodically as the program progresses over the next few months. At Haunted Stream, so this is what we think is our most prospective gold prospect in East Gippsland. As we can see, it's quite a significant strike length at 8.5 kilometres. So there's a lot of area for us to explore, a lot of area for us to understand. And as I touched on before, we've had historical mining production at between 15 to 30 grams per tonne, and some reefs producing as high as 150 grams per tonne. So I think that what that's telling us is that there's really, really significant prospectivity for high-grade gold, and that's what we're searching for both here and at Snowstorm, is that we're trying to find high grades of gold, and it's something that we're working towards, and we've got drilling permits underway, or the work plan for drilling permits have been submitted to the Mines Department for approval. And this is an area that we're really keen to begin work on sooner rather than later. So our primary targets to begin with are going to be at the Ernestine prospect. So that's the southeast corner on the map there. And basically this has been selected because of the samples and the rock chips that have been tested at that site. So it's taken us a little while to get to this point, but we think from here we're in a position to really start accelerating our exploration activity at Haunted Stream. Dogwood, so this is our Paw Free Copper prospect. So it was originally discovered by Anglo America in the 1980s and last drilled by CRA Exploration in 93, 94. And I believe CRA is now part of Rio Tinto, or they were acquired by Rio Tinto. So historical drilling was the results from what we've looked at are really quite interesting and quite strong. So as I mentioned, that there's been intersections 13 meters at 1.33% copper, 30 at 0.5%, and then 2 meters at 8 grams per ton gold as well. What we found really interesting and what this picture on the screen showing is that the strongest intersection there, 13 meters at 1.33, actually finished in mineralization. So the line on an angle there and the chart or the bars out to the side is showing the copper grades that at each point of the intersection. And we can see that even at the very end that it's still intersecting grade. So we're looking to start drilling this, relatively soon after it's granted. And there's a few primary aims or objectives of the drilling program. I think first and foremost, we want to extend on some of the depth that they went to, particularly that hole where they intersected 1.33% copper. We'd like to extend that out and see just how far that goes. But we'll be looking to undertake diamond drilling as well, so that we can get a better understanding on the structural controls of the prospect as well. Mabel Creek. So this is, again, as I mentioned, this is a relatively new project for us. It came about from a South Australian government challenge called the Gawler Challenge, in which both the winner and the runner-up identified areas overlapping where our tenements sit as one of the most prospective, one of the top 5 most prospective areas for gold. As we can see that we've got some pretty big neighbours in terms of BHP, Rio, Fortescue, Oz Minerals and the like. And we're in that Olympic Dam province, which obviously has got, the Olympic Dam, BHP's Olympic Dam mine. And at this stage, we're looking at this as being an IOCG deposit, which means that we're looking at copper, gold, and other mineral resources as well. And with any luck, it could be a bit of uranium there. But we're quite early on in working this, and we're looking to put together an exploration plan over the next few months, which will involve a bit of gravity surveys and the like, so that we're able to start working towards identifying drill targets. Our Western Australian project, Gimlet, as I mentioned, is 15 kilometres northwest of Kalgoorlie. And I think a really key thing for this is that we're close to infrastructure and toll treatment options. And the reason that's important is because it has the potential to be a mining operation at some stage in the future. We've got a mining lease application in with the Mines Department in WA. That's progressing. We're not 100% certain when that's going to be granted, but we are working towards that. We've also done some further works in 2020 where we've identified further targets for future drilling and exploration, should we want to go down that path, largely focused on the northwestern part of the tenement on which hosts Gimlet, where there hasn't been significant works. But we've also identified further targets, that are along strike from, or similar area to Gimlet, along strike from Horizon's Teal deposit as well. Just a brief summary of what we've sort of got upcoming over the next sort of 3 months to the end of the calendar year. So as I mentioned, we've recommenced drilling at our East Gippsland at our snowstorm project. The program is going to be a minimum of 1,500 metres, and we expect to release assay results periodically as we progress with our drilling. We've got granting of further tenements in East Gippsland with our Paw Free Copper prospect Dogwood. One of those, again, as I mentioned, we're very keen to begin exploration work on that with drilling to commence as soon as possible after that's granted. We're undertaking a LiDAR survey in Q4 as well. So a LiDAR survey is valuable to us because we sit under a lot of cover in terms of trees and whatnot, and it's going to provide us information on where we may have not found historical workings, where more might be. It may be able to show us some geological structures as well, such as faults and trends and things like that. And lastly, we'll be looking to begin putting together an exploration plan for Mabel Creek as well. And again, we'll begin working on that in the near future too.